Redshift here, doing my part to shift perceptions out of the pink and into the red. Okay, so in this video I'm going to be explaining multiple reasons why you should not be buying a lot of American Silver Eagles. Each reason will be explained in depth. I hope all you people out there who just started stacking and been buying American Silver Eagles are not offended by this video, because I'm not trying to offend anybody who's, just ignorant because they just started stacking, right? Like if you're new, then obviously you're still kind of ignorant, and so it's not your fault. So I'm not trying to offend you, right? But if you're a longtime stacker and you're still a diehard American Silver Eagle fan, even though you've heard many people discuss why Silver Eagles are inferior to generics, and you should know damn well why they're inferior, and yet you're still buying Eagles, well, I hope I convince you of the truth that generic rounds are better. And if I don't, well then feel free to feel offended by this video. I don't care. All I care about is truth. Number one, the first reason. If the silver spot price goes up significantly, you can resell your silver for more dollars if you have generics than if you have American Silver Eagles. You'll make more money, because you'll have more silver because of having paid less per ounce because of having bought generics instead of Silver Eagles, right? It may seem like there's no difference between American Silver Eagles and generics because you might be able to buy generic rounds for $1 above spot and be able to resell them for $1 below spot, and you might be able to buy American Silver Eagles at $3 above spot normally, assuming the coronavirus nonsense had never happened, and be able to resell your American Silver Eagles for $1 above spot, making it a $2 loss on both American Silver Eagles and generics when you buy them and then resell them. But there actually is a difference, because if the spot price goes up, which must be assumed that it will long term, and that's why you're holding silver so you can hold it long term. So the spot price is going to go up over the long term, right? According to the data shown by Blaine P. in his 3-part series of videos called Good Money Appreciates, silver goes up not just in dollars because of making up for inflation, but even above that it goes up. Right? So it's guaranteed to go up over a period of several decades, silver is. Right? So when silver goes up and you resell, you're going to make more when you resell having bought, generics, because you'll have more silver. Right? So the whole point, like I said, of buying silver or gold is to preserve your purchasing power. And the only way silver or gold can preserve your purchasing power is if they go up as much as inflation, or preferably more than inflation, which they do. If silver did not go up at least as much as inflation, well then silver would be a pretty crappy store of value, and you'd probably be better off buying bonds or something like that, because then at least you would not have to deal with the volatility of silver. But anyway, like I was saying, silver goes up with inflation, and so the price of silver is always going up because inflation is always happening. But silver is also incredibly undervalued, and silver and gold go through bear markets and bull markets as well. Even just putting aside the fact that we're guaranteed to have some kind of major economic event in the next, let's say, 25 years, even if we do not have such a huge economic event, silver is still going to be going up more than inflation during its bull markets, and more than inflation on average when you average out all its bull and bear markets, right? And so it's entirely likely that at some point in the next 15 years, silver will skyrocket up to maybe $75 an ounce in a bull market, even if we don't have an economic crash. And then it'll probably, drop back down again to $20 to $30 an ounce, but it could skyrocket. It probably almost guaranteed will skyrocket up to at least $50, if not $75 an ounce, right? Because it went to 49 before, so why wouldn't it go to 60 or 75 this time, considering all the inflation since 2011 when it hit $49 an ounce, right? Let's say you're not able to hit the peak, and it goes up to 75 an ounce, but you sell when it's at 60 an ounce, right? That'll enable you to get a lot more cash for your silver if you'd been buying generics than if you'd been buying American Silver Eagles, because you'll have a lot more silver because of having paid a lower price for generics than for American Silver Eagles, thus enabling you to buy more ounces each time you buy silver, because you're buying generics, let's say over a several year-long period. A YouTuber named something like Cull Silver, I think that was his name, something like that. Cull was in the title, C-U-L-L. He put out a video about this, and thanks to him for providing this math, right? Like, this is not his exact math, but he showed the principle. And I knew this was true, but I had not bothered to do the math to prove it to myself. I'd kind of just mentally done the logic of it, and I knew this had to be true. I kind of hate math, so I had not done the math, but his math confirmed for me what I already knew to be the case, which is that generics are a better financial investment. He shows the math on how generics will net you more money on resell if you sell when the silver price has gone up significantly. He used the example of silver buying generics or ASEs at 20 and then reselling ASEs or generics at 40. And then he showed that, you would have been able to buy more generics, and then when you resell at 40, you will have made more money. by having bought generics than American Silver Eagles. I'm going to use another difference. I'm going to say, what if it goes up to 60? And I'm going to show you the math here. Not visually, but auditorially here. And another thing is that the longer you've been stacking silver before you sell at the peak of 60, the bigger the profit difference is going to be between reselling your ASEs and reselling your generics. If you have 10 ounces of American Silver Eagles and you're reselling when spot price is $60 an ounce, then you'll get $61 an ounce for your American Silver Eagles because you paid, $23 an ounce. Let's say you bought them all when they were $20 an ounce, right? But they were 23 because they're American Silver Eagles, right? Well, when you resell at $60 an ounce, you'll be getting $61 an ounce because they're American Silver Eagles, so you're getting paid above spot. And you'll get paid $610, right? If you have 10 ounces of American Silver Eagles and they've gone up to $60 an ounce, and you're selling at 61 bucks an ounce. And if you have 11 ounces of generics, which you would have because of the lower price of generics, enabling you to buy about 9% more, which is about 11 generics, roughly. I mean, it's not exactly, but it's almost that. So we'll just round up and say that you were able to get about 11 ounces of generics for every 10 ounces of Silver Eagles you could get, right? So then you resell your generics when the spot price is $60 an ounce, and then you're getting paid $1 less than spot, and then you'll be getting paid $59, but times 11 because you're able to get 11 ounces. That's $649. That's a $39 difference between how much money you make when reselling American Silver Eagles versus how much money you make when reselling generics. If you bought ASEs at a spot price of $20 an ounce, then you probably paid $23 an ounce, and you bought 10 coins, so that's $230. And if you bought generics, you probably paid $21 an ounce, and you got 11 coins. So 21 times 11 is 231. So you basically paid the same amount, right? That's a $38 profit by having been wise enough to buy generics instead of, American Silver Eagles. So it's better to buy generics in the case of you owning only a few ounces, right? But of course, if silver goes up to $300 an ounce, then your ASEs will have cost you $230, and you'll be getting $3,010 in profit when you resell it $300 an ounce, and you're paid $1 above spot, right? So you're reselling actually at $301 an ounce, right? You'll be getting $3,010 for your 10 Silver Eagles if silver is $300 an ounce. Right? Although maybe the coin shops will start paying a much larger premium for American Silver Eagles at such a time. Maybe they'll be paying 5% above premium for above spot for Eagles instead of $1 above spot like they pay today. Right? Even then, though, 5% of $3,000 is $150. So you'd be getting $3,150 for your American Silver Eagles. And if we're in a situation where silver is $300 an ounce, there might be no silver in the coin shops because of everyone wanting to buy it and nobody being able to find it, and inflation being out of control, et cetera, et cetera. And if that's the case, then I'm confident, or even if it's not out of control, if silver goes that high, people will just they're bandwagon jumpers. Sheeple are bandwagon jumpers. And so they will want to jump on the bandwagon and buy silver just because it's going up, right? Even if we're not in crazy inflation or something, right? So let's say there's no crazy inflation. Most of that is profit, true profit, purchasing power profit, and sheeple are all jumping on the bandwagon, which is a part of what has driven it up to 300, and they're still jumping on the bandwagon at 300, so there's not a lot of silver in the coin shops because everybody's buying and hardly anybody is selling. Well, if you want to sell because you're like, oh yeah, this has got to be the top, this is insanely high, right? Well, then, you'll be able to sell easy because the coin shops will want to buy your silver so they can resell it immediately and make a lot of money. You know what I mean? Maybe they'll have insane premiums on it too because there's such high demand, right? I'm confident the coin shops at that time will be, paying spot or maybe even above spot for generics even. Because, if they're mostly out of silver, they want silver so they can resell it no matter what, even if they have to pay above spot price for generics. They'll pay, above spot and then they'll just sell it at even further above spot so they still make a profit even though it's just a generic silver coin, right? So, but let's just say they're paying spot for generics. They're paying 5% above spot for Silver Eagles, and they're paying spot for generics. Well, it's still a situation of where you profit more for having bought generics. It is. I think I proved this in script later on, but let me get back to the script a little bit here. Yeah, they're gonna run out of silver, the coin shops, at such a time. They probably won't be able to get any from the various mints, or the private mints or the government mints, because the demand will be so huge that it'll be hard to get any silver even though you're a coin shop or an online seller. Silver is far more rare than people realize, and so I'm sure you'll be able to sell your generics for at least spot if silver goes up that high in price. if not above spot. Because if the demand for silver is extreme, then the coin shops could be buying generic rounds at 10% above spot and then reselling them at 100% above spot or 50% above spot or whatever. And they could be buying silver eagles from you at 30% above spot and reselling those at 100 or 200% above spot. They could do whatever they want if the price of silver is that high. But let's be fair to American Silver Eagles and say that generics are only being bought back for spot, not above spot. And generics are and American Silver Eagles are being bought at 5%, bought back by the coin shops at 5% above spot. Well then the person who bought generics initially will be able to sell his 11 generic rounds for $3,300, and so generic rounds still win because you're still profiting $150 more by having been wise enough to buy generics instead of American Silver Eagles. And if American Silver Eagles are only selling for $1 above spot still, and generics are still selling to the coin shops, and when I say selling, like you can resell your American Silver Eagles at $1 above spot still, and generics are still, you can resell those to your coin shop for $1 below spot, even though the spot price is $300 an ounce. Well, then the holder of American Silver Eagles who is selling his 10 American Silver Eagles is going to get, like I said before, $3,010 for them, which minus $230 is a profit of $2,780. But the generic silver round buyer who is able to buy 11 rounds resells them at $1 below spot. That's $299 times 11 equals $3,289 minus $231 for having, bought them for the price of buying 11 rounds. And then that's a total profit of, when you take away the price of, like with the ASEs, you take away the price you initially spent. That means that it's a profit of $3,058. So, that means you're making $3,058 in profit if silver goes up to 300 an ounce. And if you had bought Silver Eagles, you'd only made a profit of $2,780, right? So that means you made $278 more than the guy who bought and resold American Silver Eagles instead of buying and reselling generics. Obviously, the higher silver price goes up, the higher silver goes up in price, the greater the profit that you will make if you're wise enough to buy generics instead of ASEs. And if you buy in large amounts, the same principle applies. It magnifies the advantage of buying generics instead of American Silver Eagles. Although it probably must be admitted that if you have a lot of money to play with, you'd be, number one, better off buying gold instead of silver, unless we have a huge crash in the future, because the billionaires and the governments own primarily gold, not silver. And governments and billionaires tend to get their way, especially since men these days are absolute cowards who are too cowardly to even advocate for a new revolution, like the one that we had in the 1700s, much less actually do it, meaning that men's cowardice allows the evil people of the world to get away with doing whatever they want, such as revaluing the world's currency in relation to gold and keeping silver's price suppressed. So like I said, it has to be admitted that if you're a high earner, then you'd be better off buying gold. And number two, even if you, the high earner with a lot of money to play with, buy silver instead of gold, you'd be buying bigger bars of silver so that you can get a lower premium per ounce on the silver you buy, and then it's no longer a matter of whether you should buy ASEs or generics. Although then I suppose you get into the question of whether you should buy generic large bars or whether you should go with more name brand bars like Johnson Matthey, but that's a different topic. Back to the topic of ASEs versus generics. Maybe you're buying large amounts of 1 ounce coins around because you want to be more liquid when the crash comes or whatever. And 1 ounce coins might be more liquid than 1,000 ounce bars if the price ever goes way up, right? Be easier to resell your one ounce coins rather than resell a 1,000 ounce bar. Whether due to a scare or a shortage, or whether due to a massive financial collapse like a hyperinflation. It would be more liquid to have 1 ounce coins, right? So anyway, there might be people out there today who are buying very large numbers of 1 ounce coins every month, even though they could afford to buy gold instead or large bars of silver if they wanted to. For such people, it would be a better deal to buy generics because, like I said before, the profitable advantage of buying generics is magnified the more money you spend. Not magnified in terms of percentage, but magnified in terms of dollars profiting, the dollars that you're going to profit when reselling. The profit is larger in dollar terms when you resell generics than when you resell American Silver Eagles when you're dealing with buying and selling large amounts of 1 ounce coins. After this price has gone up, after the price has gone up significantly, like silver's price going from $20 to $60 an ounce or $20 to $300 an ounce, whatever. The profit is not a huge amount if you're just talking about a few coins. So then, not a whole lot of difference between buying American Silver Eagles versus buying generics, especially if you really like the ASE design and you really dislike generics. But if you're talking about you're going to have hundreds or thousands of 1 ounce coins, then the dollar difference between having bought American Silver Eagles versus having bought generics can be substantial, especially if you're expecting the price to go up significantly in the future, right? And then that can make you wish that you had bought generics instead of American Silver Eagles, right? Number two, the second major reason to buy generics instead of American Silver Eagles is that you're not funding the evil empire. America has killed at least 4 million people since the end of World War II, unnecessarily. You know, the Iraq War was completely unnecessary. The Vietnam War was completely unnecessary. You might even say the sanctions on Iraq in the 90s were completely unnecessary. That killed 500,000 children under the age of 5. Who knows how many adults or children over the age of 5 it killed? You know, so that killed at least 500,000 people. We're the world hegemon at the moment, even though China is quickly taking our spot as the next world hegemon. Do you really want to buy a coin from the government as evil as the U.S. government is when you know that that large premium that you're paying to buy that ASE is just going to be used to fund more war, more dysgenic welfare, more buying of silver from other places like the Shanghai Gold Exchange so that the government can then back SLV for a longer period of time and thereby keep the precious metals price suppression scheme going on for even longer so that silver never regains its true value and gold never goes as high as it should? Do you want to be participating in all that by giving the genocidal U.S. government your dollars when you could instead buy silver at a significantly cheaper price from a probably much more moral entity like a company that puts out the Sunshine Mint rounds? Like, you know, the Sunshine Mint round company is probably not pure evil like the U.S. government is. I mean, I'm not saying they're highly moral. Who knows how moral of a company they are? They might not be all that moral, the Sunshine Mint round company. But they're probably a hell of a lot better than the government. They've never killed millions of people, that's for sure. You know, do you want to be complicit in the U.S. government's genocide, lies, and theft? Or do you want to, you know, do the moral thing and buy some generics? You know, because if you're buying a lot of American Silver Eagles, then you are complicit in the mass murder, in the mass theft, and in the mass lies of the U.S. government, you know? Just like promiscuous men are complicit in the deaths of the victims of Elliot Rodger and Alec Manassian. You know, Manassian and Rodger killed a ton of people, and promiscuous men put Rodger and Manassian into being in the situation of being incels, and so that's why they did what they did. So promiscuous men literally have blood on their hands. And if you buy American Silver Eagles, you literally have blood on your hands as well. Actions have consequences. This cannot be denied. To think that just because you're not actually pulling the trigger is tantamount to thinking that if you're thinking like that, you're like, well, I never pulled a trigger, I never killed anybody. Well, that's like thinking just like Lloyd Blankfein and Jamie Dimon do. That's basically thinking that like there's nothing wrong with pumping and dumping financial instruments like mortgage-backed securities, even though you know those securities are absolute crap that is going to plummet in value soon and will never be worth anything again, and that you're going to massively harm the economy by doing so. Right? Like Lloyd Blankfein and Jamie Dimon, in a sense, knew what they were doing, especially near the end, but they kept on doing it. You know, they knew that they were going to massively damage the economy, but they didn't care. They wanted to get rich. You know what I'm saying? And so this is how it is. Like, you know, these guys have the destruction of the world economy on their hands. You know, they annihilated the economy of the world. We still have not recovered from the 2008 crash. You see what I'm saying? And so it's ridiculous to act like, you know, oh, I don't have blood on my hands just by buying American Silver Eagles. Well, yeah, you kind of do. Because, you know, just the same way that Lloyd Blankfein and Jamie Dimon have, you know, massive poverty of other people on their hands. Because they knew what they were doing when they're screwing around with, you know, those mortgage-backed securities and annihilating the economy of the world, you know. And you, by purchasing American Silver Eagles, are also making the world a significantly worse place. I mean, come on, do you really want to give the U.S. government even more of your money? Don't they take enough from you in taxes already? I mean, come on. Number three, the third reason to buy generics instead of American Silver Eagles is that if you want recognizability so much, like the American Silver Eagle buyers always mention as an advantage of those coins, why the hell are you not buying junk then? Junk silver. You know, like 1964 and earlier quarters and dimes and stuff. In a crash, it'll be just as recognizable as American Silver Eagles are, and junk silver might even be significantly more recognizable than American Silver Eagles. And maybe you'll flee the U.S. if we have an economic collapse, because it'll be probably more horrific here than anywhere else, because we're less independent than probably any other country in the world, right? And so, you know, like, if we have a massive economic crash, it'll probably be worse, and it'll happen the last to America, because we have the world reserve currency. But once it happens here, it'll be worse than anywhere else, probably, right? And if this happens, it's like you might want to flee the U.S. You might have to flee the U.S. just to survive, right? Imagine Black Friday in every city, in every town, week after week, month after month. Absolute insanity, theft and murder and burning and looting and rioting and just madness. Like, how would you like that in every American city for weeks or months on end? You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, it would just be unimaginably horrific. If that happens, you would be much happier in some other country. You know what I'm saying? But yet, if you take your American Silver Eagles there, assuming you can even get them across the border, which is a reason to buy crypto instead or gold instead, it'd be a hell of a lot easier to get some gold across the border than hundreds or thousands of American Silver Eagles, that's for damn sure, right? And so, even if you do get your American Silver Eagles across the border, and you take them to Thailand or wherever, like, do you really think they'll be like, recognized there? And even if they are, which they probably will be, they're not going to like you, or even if they could, but like, what if they don't like you? What if they see that you're selling American Silver Eagles and therefore seem to be a supporter of the U.S. government? People around the world hate the U.S. government. Why would you want to own a coin that is representative of probably the most hated government on the planet? And if you're staying in the U.S., either because you don't think there will be a crash, or if there's a crash, you'll stay in America anyway, well, then there's no reason to buy American Silver Eagles for recognizability when junk silver is just as recognized and is just as much official currency as American Silver Eagles are. And who cares about the American Silver Eagle being official currency when the very reason we're buying silver instead of gold is that we expect an economic apocalyptic financial crash to happen within the next 25 years. And thus when the currency hyperinflates, then who gives a damn about the American Silver Eagle being official currency or not? And if you're talking about like, oh, I want official currency, I want it to be transactable, etc., well then, like, the dimes and quarters are smaller denominations, which makes them more useful than the American Silver Eagle. They're also alloyed with 5 or 10% copper or whatever that makes them a hell of a lot stronger than the American Silver Eagle. They're less likely to get scratched and dented and all that than the American Silver Eagle is. So for that reason, dimes and quarters from 1964 and earlier are better than the American Silver Eagle also. All silver owners will have profited hugely. Silver will be in huge demand, and no one will give a crap about whether silver is official currency or not. All they'll care about is whether it's genuine silver or not. And do you really think that XRF machines will not be, I think that's what they're called. They're the machine that you can just use that little zapper, that little hand, like it's like a little gun, like almost like a pricing gun, and it zaps coins, and you can zap the coin, it'll tell you exactly what percentage of what metal is in the coin, or at least on not just the surface, but it doesn't go terribly deeply, but anyway, I think those are called XRF machines. But whatever they're called, I'm going to call them XRF machines for the rest of this video because I think that's what they're called, even though I can't remember. XRF machines, do you really think they won't become extremely prevalent in a very short period of time if we have a massive economic crash and everyone hates dollars and doesn't accept them and people only accept things like silver and gold and nobody around the world is accepting any currency? Everybody's only accepting silver and gold and things like that, and platinum and palladium and stuff like that. Do you really think that XRF machines will not be mass-produced and sold to almost every store in America? Of course they will. Everyone will be able then to use an XRF machine to figure out which silver coins are real and which are fake. And therefore it won't matter whether it's an ASE or not. You won't need that extra trustability of it being an ASE because no trust will be needed. You just zap it and find out whether it's fake or not, no matter whether it's a generic or an ASE. Making the trustability factor of ASE something you paid through the nose for when you didn't even end up needing it after all. And it won't even matter how much it weighs or what it's alloyed with or whatever. All that will matter is how much it weighs. I mean, like, how much has been worn down or whatever. All that'll matter is that how much it weighs, how pure it is, and what the metal value is at that moment. Like, what the spot price is, although they'll no longer be using the COMEX to figure that out. They'll be using, something else to figure that out. But, whatever the metal's value is and how pure the coin is, whether it's 90% pure or 9999% pure, like, the difference between 0.99, or rather 99.9% pure silver, like I think the American Silver Eagle is, and 99.99% silver, like I think the maple is. Like the difference between that may not be anything these days. But when silver is like, $1,000 an ounce, $10,000 an ounce, whatever, if it goes up to that high in purchasing power, not in hyperinflated dollars, in real purchasing power, like once you can buy like a car with 1 ounce of silver or 2 ounces of silver, well then whether the coin is 0.9 or 0.99, whether it's 4 nines fine or 3 nines fine, that'll be a huge difference. They'll give you a big difference in price between those two coins, because that tiny amount of silver difference will add up to a lot of purchasing power. You know what I'm saying? So, they'll just find out, like, they'll have a weigher at the store, they'll weigh your coin, and they'll test its purity with an XRF machine and maybe with the size tester and the weight, and they'll test it in every way, and then they'll give you, a certain amount of currency to be spent that day in the store, and then you'll spend it, because if there's a hyperinflation, you can't wait to spend the currency. You can't take the currency, and maybe they'll give you a dime or a quarter back or something, and then you spend the rest of it in currency at their store or whatever. You just make sure you buy enough stuff to match. You buy enough of their products or food or pencils or whatever you're buying. You buy enough of that to meet your needs, to spend all the currency they give you of their store that day, that hour or whatever. And then it's a situation where at that point, you're getting exactly what your silver is worth, and everybody knows what's fake and what's real because everybody is using XRF machines. It's not going to matter whether it's an ASE or a generic. All that matters is what I said, and the price won't be determined by the COMEX. It'll be a price determined by a cryptocurrency backed by silver, which will be a real price discovery mechanism because it's 100% backed and you can take delivery. Or it'll be, the price each day will be determined by the silver companies online. And then when the grocery store wants to know how much groceries to give you for your silver dime or your silver quarter or your American Silver Eagle or your generic, they're going to go online with their smartphone and find out what, APMEX or Provident Metals or whatever is selling their generic rounds for, and then maybe do a deduction to find, in percentage to find out what the spot price would be. And then, or the new companies will pop up, telling you the spot price online, and then, the new spot price, the real spot price that's not manipulated, and then they'll give you that real price for, your silver, and then you'll spend that at the store that day. So that's how it'll be, right? Like every grocery store will have an XRF machine, or all coin shops will have XRF machines, and people who need cash to buy groceries with will sell their silver to coin shops and then pay for their groceries with cash. They'll go to the coin shop, sell their silver, get spot, and then, or slightly below spot, whatever, and then they'll, get some cash for it, and then they'll use that cash at the grocery store that hour, because if the currency is hyperinflating, you don't want to wait. You can't wait an hour or two. You'll have to go straight to the grocery store and spend it before it goes down in value much. Although I doubt the U.S. will let it get that bad. The U.S. is smart enough to know the dangers of hyperinflation and the retardedness of it. And so the U.S. is totally tyrannical, but it's not stupid. So it's not going to let hyperinflation get that bad. Like in the 70s, they instituted the petrodollar when inflation started getting out of control. You know what I'm saying? They didn't let it become hyperinflation because they're not idiots. Unlike, other leaders in countries in Africa and South America and stuff who do let it get that bad. They'll do some shenanigans to stop it from getting that bad, or China in their own interest and in everybody else's interest as well. Everybody will see it's in their own interest, and China will think it's definitely in their own interest. So then everybody will just, do a gold-backed yuan as the world reserve currency at that point. And then everybody's currencies will be tied to the yuan or whatever. And then everybody will be saving in yuan or renminbi or whatever you want to call it. There's a difference between renminbi and yuan, but I can't remember what it is. I don't really understand it. It's a subtle difference, but whatever. They're not the same thing. But whether renminbi or yuan, it'll be a gold-backed yuan or gold-backed renminbi. And then it'll be the case that, like, all the currencies of the world will be tied to that because that's backed by gold, because the Chinese have thousands, if not tens of thousands of ounces of physical gold right now. And they're buying and buying more every year, at least 500 tons a year. And so, China, once we tie ourselves to the gold-backed yuan, in the next 10 or 20 years or whatever, well, then our inflation will get, under control again, especially as the U.S. government then is forced to stop spending so much money. And then that'll get the inflation under control, the less spending as we shrink our government. So even if those shenanigans that they do to stop the inflation are just shrinking the government, that's what we should have done all along, but, they will do something to keep the inflation from getting to be as bad as, like, Weimar Germany or something. But the financial effect on the populace might be just as bad as if they had let the currency hyperinflate. Or at least it'll be really bad, way worse on them than on the elites, at least. The elites will be fine if inflation is 20% per year, but the common people will not be fine. But anyway, my point was that XRF machines will become prevalent, and then it won't matter whether it's an American Silver Eagle or not. Silver will be too valuable to take any chance whatsoever of the coin being fake. And so they'll only accept silver if it's been verified by that store as being 99.9% pure or whatever. Like as long as it's not a fake. You know, if it's 50% pure or whatever, they give you 50%. You know, they give you the value, you know, of that coin's weight in whatever percentage of silver it is. You know, or the store will take cash, and people have to sell their silver to a coin shop and for cash in order to spend their silver. So just like today, you know, you can't spend silver, you spend cash, but you know, you can cash in your silver, right? Either way, you know, when silver goes way up in value, trust will go out the window, and everyone will require verification before accepting someone's silver. Businesses that do nothing but verify the validity of silver and gold coins will pop into existence, and they will charge a fee for zapping coins in order to figure out if the silver or gold coins are fake or real. Then people who want to transact with each other will be able to do so because the coin will have been verified as being genuine silver. And those XRF machine businesses which verify coins will be the necessary third party for people to transact between each other. And perhaps they probably also not just do, you know, verification or whatever, because like how would they transfer that verification? I guess they could do it digitally, and the grocery store could look it up at that, you know, that coin verification website to find out if your coins are verified or whatever. But more likely, you know, they'd be zapping and they'd be doing the buying and selling. They'd basically be like a coin shop, but they would not be, you know, like having numismatics or carrying big. Well, I guess they'd probably have some bars, but like my main point is like they'd become mainly a transaction store rather than a you know, place where you go for advice about gold or silver, or where you buy numismatics or, you know, old currency, you know, hyperinflated currency for, you know, there's all kinds of stuff you can buy at a silver or gold shop that would not necessarily, probably would not be at such a, you know, coin verification and selling and buying place, you know. But the fourth reason to hold generics instead of American Silver Eagles is that the reason of trustability is a nonsense reason as well. You know, ASE fans always say, well, it's more trusted. Well, how can American Silver Eagles be trusted by precious metals buyers? The very reason that we buy gold or silver is that we know that the government cannot be trusted. The government is counterfeiting the currency, aka printing money. Why would you buy a metal whose sole purpose is to protect you from the financial predation of your own government and then act as if it's a good thing that that government's coin, the American Silver Eagle, can be trusted? How can American Silver Eagles be trusted? If the government that puts out the ASE cannot be trusted, which it can't, because the very reason it can't be trusted is, you know, for many reasons, but one of them is the very reason you're buying silver in the first place, that the US dollar is not trusted because it's a fiat currency, which means the government can't be trusted. You know, if the government that puts out the ASE cannot be trusted, then how can the ASE itself be trusted? The American Silver Eagle being trusted is even more nonsense when you consider the fact that China revealed publicly a few years back that they had got a bunch of gold bars minted by the Federal Reserve back in the 1990s that were actually just gold-plated tungsten. They weren't even gold, it was just tungsten bars, fake gold bars, intentionally fake. You know, the Federal Reserve made those tungsten bars and then plated them with gold and then sold them onto the market, and then China got them. You know, either went, I must not have gone through a refiner, or else, you know, the refiner probably would have melted them down and re-refined them again, and then would have found out that they were fake. But whatever, maybe the I thought I had heard that the refiner passed them along to China, but China, you know, traced them or whatever, and found out, you know, they were from the Federal Reserve in the 90s. But whatever, whether it went straight to China or whether it went through a refiner that we have control over, and that was, you know, like wink, wink, nod, nod. We know these are fake, but we're going to pretend like they're not. Or we're going to pass them on to China, but China's smart and doesn't trust anybody, and so they drill holes in them or whatever and find out, oh, holy shit, this is actually tungsten. You know, like any government that would do that would try to rip off other governments by selling gold-plated tungsten as if it's real gold. That's a government that cannot be trusted. And that is what the U.S. government did, according to China, and I believe them. Not that I trust China, but, like, why would China make that up? You know what I mean? Like, I totally trust China on that. Now, if we claimed that China had sold us fake gold bars, I might be willing to believe us, too, because China's not trustworthy either, but that's not the kind of thing you make up. So whoever's making the accusation on that kind of thing is probably telling the truth. So, you know, if you can't trust the U.S. government because they're making fake gold bars, then number one, you can't trust that the gold in the Federal Reserve, I mean, the gold in Fort Knox is real, you know, that it's actually there. You can't trust that, number one. Number two, you can't trust that, and if you want to know more about that, watch, what was it by? It was a guy, he did a video, I think, yeah, it was Silver Torch 66. He put out a really good video on Fort Knox and its gold. Like, the best video I've seen out of it. I've seen, like, you know, some of the same details, not all of them, some of the same details, but just in a broad way. But he really dug into like the assaying and which years were assayed and how many bars were assayed on which year and all that. He really got in depth on it. And it's about a half-hour long video. You should really watch that Silver Torch 66 video. It's all one word, Silver Torch 66, but it's the numbers 66, and silver and torch are both capitalized, but there's no spaces. Look that guy up. Look for his video on Fort Knox. Fort Knox is in the title. And, does Fort Knox have the gold or whatever? I can't remember what exactly he named it, but watch that video. That is the best video I've ever seen about, Fort Knox not actually having the gold. He doesn't actually say they don't have it, but he says that, there's serious problems. Like, they've hardly assayed any of the bars. They've changed the seals, at least once without re-assaying them, without remelting them and re-verifying their purity or whatever, which they're supposed to do. So there's, really no reason to believe that the U.S. government has the gold it claims that it does in the vaults. And the only gold that's been seen is the alloyed gold that come from, the bars and coins that melted down from the people who were stupid enough to turn in their gold in the 30s when it was nationalized. You see, so, that's, only 90% gold or whatever, which is why it has that orangey tint. But, the real bars that are 99% pure or whatever, we've never seen those bars in Fort Knox. And there's all the reason in the world to believe that they're not there. And there's a whistleblower, all these, trucks going out from Fort Knox in the middle of the night and stuff. There's every reason to believe that all or almost all the gold is gone in Fort Knox. You see, so if that's the kind of government, and why would we be doing false bars with tungsten if we actually had the gold in Fort Knox? You see what I'm saying? This is not a trustworthy government. So why would you trust the American Silver Eagle? You see what I'm saying? It makes no sense, you know what I mean? If they're willing to rip off other governments, if the U.S. government is willing to rip off China and other governments, then why do you think they'd be any less willing to rip off us, the poor little citizens, by putting fake, false cores in American Silver Eagles, just putting just enough plating on the Silver Eagle to where the XRF machine can't read and tell that it's got a fake core. You know what I mean? The XRF machines read deeper into silver than gold, but they still don't read all that deeply into silver. And so I'm sure the U.S. government, they can tell fakes, but I'm sure the U.S. government could make a fake that was, had thick enough of a plating that even the XRF machine could not read it properly, and they could use a mix of heavier and lighter metals in the proper proportion to make it exactly the same weight as silver. So, then they can make a fake core for the American Silver Eagles. They could easily do that. Easily. I'm not saying they have, but they easily could. And I trust the Sunshine Mint a hell of a lot more than I trust the U.S. government. You know what I'm saying? So it's and it's illegal to melt ASEs down, right? Because they're official currency and you can't destroy currency, right? It's a crime. And you go to prison for it. And most of the silver stacker community seem to be such naive, government-trusting cucks that I'll bet most of these people would be afraid to melt a Silver Eagle down because of it being illegal. And if they did find an ASE with a fake core by melting it down, they would assume that it's a fake made by some other entity than the U.S. government, and it would never occur to them that it may very well have been the U.S. government itself minting the ASEs with cores made of something other than silver. But with a thick enough silver plating or the weight and size identical to if it were made solely of silver. And thus it'd be almost impossible to catch as a fake unless a person either, cut it in half or was, or melted it down to see if it was entirely silver or not. How can you trust American Silver Eagles when the government that puts them out is genocidal, mass thieving? That's the whole point of having fiat currency in the first place, because fiat currency allows you to steal from the savings of people and thereby place a hidden tax on them without their consent and without having to pass any laws to bring that tax into existence. And when the government is massively propagandist and all the rest of it. When a government is endlessly dishonest, horrifically mass murdering, and unimaginably thieving and wasteful, then what makes you think that a coin put out by that very same government would be trusted or should be trusted? Perhaps after the crash, American Silver Eagles will be the least trusted silver coins in the world. Or at least they might become the least desirable of all silver coins in the world after the American Empire fails. Because when the American Empire falls, America's probably going to get the blame. And America should get the blame, because we're the world reserve currency, we're the one massively in debt, we're the one enslaving the world, etc., etc. So why wouldn't everybody blame America when the whole world economy falls? You know what I'm saying? When you're in charge and things go bad, you're to blame. You know what I mean? Whether you're a particular race or a certain political view or whatever. Whoever's in charge when the crash happens and has been in charge for a long time, that person or group or political ideology or whatever is responsible and therefore will be blamed. So, like, why would the American Silver Eagle not be the least desirable and most hated coin in the world after after the whole world falls because of America falling, because of our massive debt and all the rest of it? America will probably be viewed by history as being worse than Nazi Germany. Now, like, don't even get me started on the topic of Germany and all the propaganda regarding it, but that's another topic which I won't waste time discussing here. All I'll say about it is that you should watch the documentaries called Number One, The Greatest Story Never Told. Number Two, Germar Rudolph Exposes Auschwitz's Curated Lies. 3, Hellstorm. And number 4, you should read Pat Buchanan's book, Churchill, Hitler, and the Unnecessary War. But anyway, America will probably be viewed as a monstrously evil empire in retrospect that everyone is glad fell. So why would silver coins by that government be respected or desired? I can totally see the whole world, other than Americans, not wanting anything to do with American Silver Eagles. And so if they buy an American Silver Eagle or take it in payment for something else, that is if a foreigner does, like if you're overseas living after the crash, you know, if you want to pay with American Silver Eagles for food or something, they'll probably give you less than spot just because it's an American Silver Eagle and they hate the U.S. government and they can't stand it and they really don't want American Silver Eagles and nobody else does either. So they'd either have to melt it down or resell it to somebody who, you know, likes Silver Eagles. But, like, you know, there's almost nobody who likes Silver Eagles at that point. So, like, you know, they're going to give you below spot for your American Silver Eagle. And if everyone in the world hates eagles and pays less than spot, well, then I'm sure eagles will start getting melted down because of them being worth less than spot and it being more profitable for them if they melt it down and resell in some other form, like a 99.99% silver 1,000 ounce bar or something. And then that dynamic, or a coin, 1 ounce coin, whatever, just as long as it's pure and it doesn't look like a silver eagle. You know, and that dynamic will make it so that even the coin shops will buy American Silver Eagles for less than spot, especially because it costs money to melt something down. And if no one wants eagles and you got to melt them down to make anybody want them again, melt them down to recast them into a totally different coin, that costs money. And so you got to pay for that somehow. And so they'll give people less than spot for Silver Eagles. And then you'll really wish that you had bought generics instead of American Silver Eagles. Number 5, another reason to not buy American Silver Eagles is that we're getting closer and closer to the global financial crash, which will bring down the American empire once and for all. And so if you're a new stacker, it's far more important that you get as much silver as you can before the crash happens. Now, if you make a lot of money, then you can easily buy a bunch of silver all at once. So then you've got as much generics as you need, right? You plunk down $100,000 and you've instantly got more generics than you need. You know, probably more than the average silver stacker will ever have in his whole life, right? At that point, if you want to start buying American Silver Eagles as well, so that you have a more diversified stack, well, then I'll point to the moral problem with doing so, you know, because you're still funding a genocidal empire. But I'm not going to push too hard on the morality issue if you're not buying too many Eagles, and you're not making Eagles the majority of your 1 ounce silver rounds. Like, if you want to have most of your stack be 1 ounce generics, and like 70% of your silvers in 1 ounce rounds that are generics, and, you know, maybe another 10 or 20% is in, you know, kookaburras and pandas and other stuff, and just 10% of your 1 ounce rounds are in eagles. Well, you know, it's immoral, but, you know, it's just a small amount, and I'm not going to complain that much about it. You're not being stupid by buying mostly eagles, right? You're just buying them for diversification purposes, and that's fine. You know, that's not that bad. I think it's not too horrible to have some eagles to diversify your stack, especially since I heard in a video by someone else, I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Cull Silver, and I don't think it was Silver Torch 66. It might have been Silver Dragons, but I don't think it was him either. It was somebody else. This guy said that there have been times, like he said at one point silver price was, I think, $15 or something like that a few years ago or whenever, or maybe it was quite a while ago, but whatever. And then he said the price dropped really suddenly all the way down to $7 an ounce. And he said when that happened, the Silver Eagles, the American Silver Eagles, still retained their resellability. I think he said they were selling at like something like $8 above spot. They were still selling at the old spot price, even though the spot price had dropped by like 50%. I can't remember the exact number the guy said, but while you should not be counting on silver to go down, that's against the very point of buying silver. At the same time, the guy was right about it being a good thing if you can resell Silver Eagles for far more than you can resell generics if the price of silver plummets, because then you're protecting yourself against downside risk. You know, being protected in this way in case you have an emergency and need to sell some silver means that you'll lose less money on selling silver, but even because of you having American Silver Eagles instead of generics. You know, that's an okay reason, but it's definitely not a great reason. Even this is not a great reason to buy American Silver Eagles, because if you want reliability of price, then you can put your money in some other vehicle like gold or cryptocurrency or like short-term bonds or you know, keep cash or whatever, you know. But perhaps American Silver Eagles are better at reselling than gold because of gold's volatility. Like, silver's more volatile than gold, but maybe American Silver Eagles specifically are less volatile than gold. But if that's the case, then would not American Gold Eagles even be less volatile than American Silver Eagles? I don't know. Maybe not though. But that's an interesting question. I probably should have looked into it, but whatever. Call me lazy. But I think it's better just generally, especially if the gold price has been stable for lately. Then if the gold price has been stable, if you have some gold, why would you sell your Silver Eagles? Why would you sell any silver if you have gold to sell? But I guess it's good to have a few Silver Eagles in case the gold price has gone down, so you don't want to sell your gold, but yet you have to sell some silver, and the silver price has gone down, but you can still sell your Silver Eagles at the old spot price. So you don't lose much money, or you don't lose any money. You would still lose some money because you paid above spot, but you're not going to lose as much, right? So, but even that, you're going to lose, quite a bit, quite a percentage. If the price has gone down, but you can still sell at the old spot price because you still paid. You're still going to lose at least $2 on the transaction because, buying at 23 and reselling at 21, or buying, 18 and reselling at 16, whatever, that $2 difference between what you buy the Eagles for and the American Silver Eagles for and what you sell the American Silver Eagles for, you're still taking a loss. And so do you really think gold will have gone down that much to where you can't sell gold instead of an American Silver Eagle? Well, several American Silver Eagles in an emergency, right? Like, I just don't really see a whole lot of necessity to have American Silver Eagles for that reason when you could use gold instead. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure though, so it's probably good to have a few Silver Eagles, American Silver Eagles, as just, a hedge, or, in case of, there is a situation where you'd be best off selling those instead of your gold or your generic silver or whatever. It's probably good to diversify and have a few Eagles as well. Like if you got 500 generics, maybe it'd be good to have like 50 American Silver Eagles or something, but in general, it's definitely better to have gold and generic silver than it is to have American Silver Eagles. And like I said, if American Silver Eagles are more stable in price, then why would not American Gold Eagles be more stable in price due to gold's price being more stable than silver's price? And if it's an emergency, then I imagine that it's a pretty expensive emergency if you're having to dip into your precious metals to deal with it. And if it's a large expense like that, then what's the advantage of buying a lot of Silver Eagles for later reselling in an emergency when you could instead buy a 1-ounce American Gold Eagle? Why buy and resell 100 coins or more when you could instead buy one gold coin, 100 silver coins, or when you could instead buy one gold coin and then resell that instead? And if you buy an American Gold Eagle, you're also going to pay a way lower premium, typically about 4% above spot, compared to the 15% above spot that you're going to pay if you buy American Silver Eagles. You'll be able to get above spot for the American Eagle when you resell it, the American Silver Eagle when you resell it, that's true. And maybe you'll only be able to get spot for an American Gold Eagle when you resell it. I'm not sure, I've never resold an American Gold Eagle, but I know you do get at least spot for gold. And if so, even if you buy it at 4% above spot and you resell for only spot when you're reselling the American Gold Eagle, you're still only losing 4%. But when you buy and resell an American Silver Eagle, you're losing 10%. Because, you're buying at 15% above spot and reselling at 5% above spot. You see? So you're losing 10% versus only losing 4% on an American Gold Eagle. You see what I mean? So it's actually better to buy gold for that percent, because from that perspective, because you're losing 6% more money by buying American Silver Eagles and having to resell them to a coin shop when compared to buying an American Gold Eagle instead and then reselling the American Gold Eagle back to the coin shop. And while it's true that the Silver Eagles could have gone up more in price than the Gold Eagle, thus making up for that 6% greater loss by owning silver because of silver's volatility, silver's volatility works in both directions, and so it's possible that silver could have fallen more as well. Although that doesn't matter because of what I was talking about earlier, because if what that guy in that other video said is true about American Silver Eagles retaining their price, but generics not retaining their price when the silver price goes way lower, well then American Silver Eagles are safe from the downside volatility. So then the volatility works in your favor, because if it drops way low, they stay the same price, the ASEs do. But if it goes way up, you get that upside. You see what I'm saying? So then that could be a reason to buy Silver Eagles instead of Gold Eagles, because the volatility working in your favor with Silver Eagles and not Gold Eagles. Although I guess it depends on whether you can resell Gold Eagles for above their spot price if the price of gold drops a lot, although I doubt you can, because silver is almost more like a stock or a commodity or something, partly because of its industrial value, partly because the rich buy gold and most of the poor would buy silver, but they don't know about gold and silver. They don't know that you should be buying it, so they don't buy it, right? So this means that, gold is more money in the way it functions at the present moment than silver is. So, you gotta, I don't know, maybe study it a little more. At least I'm giving you, a viewpoint here to look more deeply into to figure this out. Or at the very least, you can sort of make your own determination about it if you do more research and are not able to figure it out. But it seems to me that a lot of times gold's going to be better. But maybe there are times when it's better to have silver eagles. So, but even in those cases, you don't need to have too many. Definitely not the majority of your stack of silver being American silver eagles. The majority should be generics. Or if not generics, then at least big bars, so that if you're buying, name brand stuff, you're at least still paying a lower premium. Like, if you're going to buy, sure, you're going to pay more for a Johnson Matthey bar, a 100-ounce or 1,000-ounce bar. I don't know if they make 1,000 ounces. I think they do. If you're going to pay more for a Johnson Matthey bar than you're going to pay for a generic bar. But even then, you're paying less in premium than you're paying with the Silver Eagle or something. And maybe the premium above when you're paying for a Johnson Matthey bar is as much as buying a generic silver round, but you're at least getting a name brand and you're paying the same amount rather than getting a generic and paying the same amount, right? And if you're buying a lot, then why not buy a name brand bar like a Johnson Matthey 100 or 1,000-ounce bar? You know what I'm saying? So really, I don't think there's a whole lot of reason to be buying like hundreds of American Silver Eagles or something. That's pretty fucking ridiculous. I think at the most that you would ever need is like 100 American Silver Eagles. And only then, if you have, 500 or 1,000, generic silver rounds of, 1-ounce coins. Number 6, another reason regarding trustworthiness is that the American Silver Eagle is soon going to have anti-counterfeiting measures, like other coins by other governments do. I think it was the 2021 coin of the American Silver Eagle is going to have anti-counterfeiting measures. Like they're going to, I don't know, I can't remember what it is, but certain other coins, and I don't know if it's going to be in the coin itself or if they're going to be selling it in like packaging with a number or something that makes it, anti-counterfeitable. But whatever they do to the American Silver Eagle, it's going to be anti-counterfeited. It's going to be harder to counterfeit soon in, like in 2021 or something. So if they're having to do anti-counterfeiting measures, that must mean that the American Silver Eagle is being counterfeited a lot. And if it's being counterfeited a lot, then why would you pay more just to have a coin that might still be counterfeit? Considering their higher resale value, I would think that they might be especially prone to counterfeiting. Maybe not by small counterfeiting operations, but by larger ones like other governments or organized crime, etc. And if the coin shop you go to has an XRF machine like the one that I go to does, so you can trust their coins because they test them themselves and they'll test your coin right in front of you when you buy it to show you if it's authentic if you want them to, well then neither you nor the coin shop is dealing in trust at all. You're not going to get ripped off by generics because they test the coins in front of you if you want them to, right? Including they test all the coins themselves, and then if you want it tested again right in front of you, they'll do that, right? And so this means that even if you buy generics, you're 100% sure that you're not buying any fake silver, right? And you're also then not going to be in any danger when reselling, even if to someone else, because you're not afraid of them testing your silver because you know 100% sure that it's not fake because they tested it in front of you when you bought it. But if you don't know for 100% certainty that your silver is real, well, then you'd be better off selling your silver to a place with an XRF machine because, then you'd be better off. If you don't know that it's 100% certain because you bought it from a place that did not have an XRF machine, well, then you don't know for sure, and then you don't want to get ripped off by, being denied reselling it. Like you take it to a place with an XRF machine, they're like, oh, it's fake. You'd rather just kind of remain ignorant, and then you want to resell it to a place without an XRF machine. But, in the future, all places will have XRF machines. So you really should be buying your silver from a place that has an XRF machine so you know for sure that it's true, that it's real silver. And if it is, then you can resell it to any place, including places with an XRF machine, without any fear. And then it doesn't even matter whether it's an ASE or a generic, and then all that matters is the price, in which case you should have been buying generics, because in terms of price, in terms of resale, the advantage is on the side of the generics. You get more money back when you sell generics, at least if the price has gone up, and if it hasn't, why would you sell the silver? unless you're having an emergency or something. In which case, why would you sell silver instead of gold? And why would you have only silver and not gold? You should have both metals, even if you're going to have more silver than gold. And like I said, remember the fact that the ASE is getting counterfeiting measures means that it is being counterfeited a lot. And finally, another argument against Silver Eagles is, although this is not an argument against Silver Eagles compared to generics, it is an argument against the Silver Eagle compared to other governments' coins. The argument is this: the American Silver Eagle is not very aesthetically pleasing when compared to other government coins, at least if you ask me. Admittedly, this is a subjective argument, a subjective determination, but I think that the front of the ASE coin is not a very aesthetically pleasing design. I think the back of the Silver Eagle is quite aesthetically pleasing. I think it's a very cool eagle. It's very nicely designed, but it's just annoying also that it doesn't ever change. It just screams that the U.S. government has no artistic sense and that the U.S. government is also incredibly lazy, just like Harper Lee. The chick who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, she wrote one book, and then as far as I know, she just lived off the proceeds of that one book for the rest of her life, and ended up broke at the end of her life, and ended up releasing a previously written and unreleased prequel to the book, To Kill a Mockingbird. That's because she was so desperate for money. It's absolutely pathetic when someone does one thing and then it's popular, and then they just do nothing else. They don't even try building on that success or modifying it. All they do is just let that thing stay out there and make them money, It's essentially what the U.S. government is doing with the American Silver Eagle. They're pretending that it's a classic design that cannot be improved upon and should not be messed with, when actually the real truth is that they just have no work ethic, no willingness to take any risks, no aesthetic sense, and they would be afraid of producing ugly coins if they made new coins, and so they just keep producing the same old tired lame coin instead of making a new coin each year like Australia does with the kookaburra and like many other governments do. Even Canada makes various kinds of silver maple leaf coins, even though a lot of times it's just the little mint mark or whatever in the corner, in the bottom, like in the maple leaf or nearby it or whatever that distinguishes it. But they even did a Superman coin. That's a really cool coin. That's my favorite. It's that one where on the back it's got that giant, Superman symbol. The thing that looks like a diamond with the S in it, right? Even Canada, which the silver maple leaves don't vary all that much, but even they do, some different coins and stuff. And so what has America done with this American Silver Eagle? Nothing. It's just pathetic. I may not like many of the designs of the Australia's kookaburra coins, because I think it's, generally speaking, an ugly bird, but they do try to make, they do different designs, a different design every year, and they try to make a good design. So sometimes they succeed, and maybe every half or a quarter of the kookaburra coins are good. I really like the 2016 kookaburra. That's my favorite. It's the kookaburra sitting on the wooden post with the barbed wire wrapped around it, and in the background is a little bare tree with no leaves on it. I don't like the tree. There's not enough detail. But other than the tree, I really like that kookaburra coin. It's quite nice. It's very nicely designed. I like the bird on it. I like the way the bird looks in that coin. I like the post. I like the barbed wire wrapped around it. It's very nice. But they do a different one every coin. They're trying. They're taking a risk. They're trying to be, they're trying to make art. You know what I mean? It's cool. They're trying. But America's not even trying at all. England, they're also trying. They're doing those Queen's Beast coins, way overpriced. I've never bought one. I would buy some, but every time I want to buy one, I look at the price and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I can't pay this for a coin. But they at least are trying. And I don't like all the Queen's Beast coins, but some of them are pretty good. I'd say the first one, the lion, was the best, but some of them are pretty decent as well. They're not bad. I'd say they're a little bit oversimplistic. I'd like a little more detail on them, but basically, at least they're trying. They're putting out a new coin every year or whatever, or maybe 2 coins every year. So why give your vote of approval to the unoriginality of the American Silver Eagle by buying it, when there are lots of far more original coins out there to buy instead and thereby give your vote to, thereby encouraging more originality and less unoriginality? If fewer people bought the American Silver Eagle, the U.S. government might start trying to make the Silver Eagle better. Might be making new coins totally different, or might be changing the Silver Eagle's design a little bit every year, or doing a different background on it or something, But no, by voting with your dollars and buying American Silver Eagles, you are telling them that they don't have to try and make anything original or better or anything. Why let the U.S. government slide by refusing to punish them for their lack of originality, their lack of effort? Why let the U.S. government get away with that? boycott the American Silver Eagle until the government decides to actually put in some effort. I mean, the very least they could do would be change the background on the American Silver Eagle every year, but no, they don't even bother doing that. And besides, if you own other countries' coins, like the Queen's Beasts and the the Australian coins and China's coin, the pandas, and if you own the maple leafs, if you own all the other governments' coins as well, maybe even way more than the American Silver Eagle, well then when it comes time for the the absolute economic apocalypse and nobody wants American Silver Eagles, they're probably going to take other countries' coins though. They won't mind taking a Queen's Beast coin or a maple leaf. They'll probably give you spot for that, when they'll give you less than spot for an American Silver Eagle. So, if you could buy a more beautiful coin by a different country, that's probably going to be accepted better after a horrific economic collapse. And if you want U.S. currency that's going to be recognized in America for, during a crash, then you can always just buy junk silver, 1964 and earlier coins. Well, then why would you buy an American Silver Eagle? It makes no sense. Anyway, I think I've given enough arguments in this video for why everyone should make American Silver Eagle coins a minority of their 1-ounce silver coins, if not outright ban them from one stack. I hope you can see the reality of the situation more clearly now, and I hope you buy lots of silver and gold in the future. Keep stacking, and most of all, down with the evil U.S. government. This has been Redshift, Peace Trucks for Thieving Politicians. In other words, almost all of them.